What up, everybody? Good morning and happy Monday. Dan Kasper Show's on the air. Radio dials, got a couple of those. 105.1 FM, 790 AM. Also online at sportstalk1051.com where you can stream it. Get the YouTube video stream. Otherwise, that link's up on Facebook and Twitter as well. Get your Google and Alexa home devices. And, of course, the Sports Talk app. But hopefully you all had a fantastic weekend and you're ready to get it going here this morning. It's Christmas week, all that good stuff there. But it is also a football Monday. Packers returning off their bye week and getting set to take on the Los Angeles Rams at Lambeau Field tonight. So this is what? Is it? I'm just double checking. The first and the only Monday night game for the Packers this year. I'm okay with that. I am A-okay with that. That's the only Monday night game. So, of course, what we would normally maybe do on a football Friday, we're going to do on a football Monday. Keys to victory, key matchups, predictions, all that fun stuff. So, start hitting us up with some texts at the Shoe Doctors bullpen line at 715-830-1912. You can also hit us up on Twitter at DANKASPER, Facebook.com/Kasper Sports, or on the video stream. You can comment on there as well. But what do you got? Packers kind of looking after yesterday's games here. I think the big one of note, if you're kind of paying attention to maybe, the pathway, if you will, for the Packers to try to sneak into the postseason, the games of note on Saturday and Sunday, because we already talked about, San Francisco beating Seattle on Thursday, obviously helped out Green Bay. But really the only other one that's probably kind of paying attention to was last night's game with the Giants and the Commanders of Washington. Both those teams have already beaten Green Bay earlier this year. Both entered last night's game with the same record, and it was the Giants that got the W. So, just my opinion, but if you're looking at this thing and you're hoping Green Bay still gets in the postseason, Green Bay got to win out. Got to take care of business tonight against the Rams in one game at a time, and then I think we're all kind of looking at that Christmas Day game against Miami and like holding your breath there a little bit. But with the Giants beating the Commanders last night, maybe you're kind of looking like, all right, Commanders, you got to lose at least two more. Got to lose at least two more in these final three games for them. And you look at the schedule for the Commanders coming up here. They got a date against the San Francisco 49ers. They got to travel, out west on Christmas Eve. So that'll be a tough game for the Commanders. Then they're at home against the Browns. That might be the big game to kind of really pay attention to. Browns with a big victory on Saturday against Baltimore there. And then the Cowboys, who just lost to the Jaguars. Maybe that one kind of seals their fate, if you will, of just getting that 5 seed. So there's a real good chance that the Cowboys might not play their starters in that final game. So a lot of scoreboard watching now. But it won't matter unless Green Bay can't take care of their business. So let's focus on the task at hand with Pack taking on the Rams tonight. Again, I want your keys to victory, your key matchups, all that fun stuff. No Aaron Donald. Packers won't have to deal with him. He's already ruled out for this game, so won't have to deal with him up front. But give me some of your key position groups and all that good stuff too. So we'll hit that up. We'll hit that up quite a bit here this morning. If football's not your thing and you're more of a hoopster, well, got a big game tonight with the Bucks too. Bucks taking on the New Orleans Pelicans. You're like, New Orleans? Well, if you haven't been paying attention, New Orleans is right now your 2 seed in the Western Conference. Kind of going back and forth between them and Memphis, throwing Denver in there too. Phoenix is just 1.5 back from the first spot there. But Pelicans, maybe one of the more pleasant surprises in the early goings of this NBA season. They are riding a 3-game losing streak, but 7-3 in their last 10 right now. Bucks coming off of a victory against the Jazz the other night, where no Giannis in that game, no Middleton in that game, but the Bucks, led by Bobby Portis with his 22 points and Drew Holiday with his 21, able to get that victory. No Middleton tonight, knee soreness it sounds like. So I have to imagine Giannis will probably be playing in this game tonight. But this will begin the stretch of 5 straight road games for the Bucks, and all against playoff teams. Right now, at least playoff teams. New Orleans, as we just said, the 2 seed in the Western Conference. Wednesday, they're taking on Cleveland, currently the 3 seed in the Eastern Conference, the team that's right behind Boston because the Bucks are in the first spot in the Eastern Conference. Then you've got Brooklyn, who's currently the 4 seed in the Eastern Conference. And then that Christmas Day game this Sunday, where the Bucks take on the Boston Celtics, and then Chicago the Wednesday after that before they return home with a game against the T-Wolves. So we'll throw a little hoops talk in here and there this morning. We'll catch up with Justice Cleveland, JC and Easy. I know quite a few local games were called off last week due to the weather and such, but we'll kind of take a look back at some of those games that did get underway, and maybe look ahead to some of the stuff that's on the dockets coming up here too. So we'll catch up with Justice, sports director, WEAU 13 News, Sports Scene 13 over there from 7 to 8. He'll be hopping on. Also, we got a little studs and duds action. Who's your studs? Who's your duds from this past weekend, past few days here? We'll hit that up around 8:05, but you can always text or tweet or Facebook those on in whenever you want this morning. We'll do a little motivational Monday coming up at the end of this hour, about 6:50 or so. Who or what gave that motivating performance to get you maybe motivated to finish off this week? Maybe you got some vacay plan and you're just trying to get through this week. And plus, we'll get a little press pass. If you have one question that you could ask anybody or anything, and you know you're going to get a truthful answer, what that press pass be sports related. Okay. Well, I get that caveat to it because wander off. You know what I mean? So we got those 3 coming at you this morning, too. But we'll get things rolling here this morning on that opening drive to get things kicked off. It is a football Monday, the first and only Monday night game for the Packers this year. Believe it or not, it took all the way till the middle of December for it to happen. But nonetheless, Packers fighting for their playoff lives right now. Gotta win out. Gotta take care of business against the Rams. Don't look ahead to Miami. Don't look ahead to Minnesota or Detroit. Detroit with another victory. But again, that's not one of the, if you're kind of doing a little bit of scoreboard watching, Green Bay wins out and they beat Detroit there in that final week. They'll get past Detroit there in the standings and such. But nonetheless, let's just take it one game at a time. So looking at this Rams game, they're coming off of a emotional big time win. Man, it seems like forever ago with Baker Mayfield and that Raiders game leading, was it like a 98-yard drive, 90-yard drive there at the end when he was only with the team for a hot minute. So obviously they're feeling pretty good, or at least they were. But no Aaron Donald, no Cooper Kupp. Baker Mayfield settled in a little bit more. Maybe got a few more days with the playbook and such. Packers saw Baker Mayfield last year, Christmas Day, when he was with the Browns, threw a few picks. Jair Alexander's already talking trash. He's feeling 7 interceptions, apparently. That's what he's saying. But how do you see this game playing out? What are your keys to victory? What are your key matchups? What are your predictions for this game? Packers fairly healthy. No David Bakhtiari in this game. Already ruled out, which is no big surprise. Not because of the knee, recovering from that appendectomy. but Packers won't have to deal with Aaron Donald up front on the defensive line there. So this offense has been clicking in the last few weeks. As we mentioned late last week, if you look at the last few weeks of the season, they've been sixth in scoring. And, you could kind of connect some dots and be like, oh, well, why have they last few weeks been that high in scoring? And maybe it's because of the development and the rise of one Christian Watson. So offense maybe gelling a little bit more, maybe clicking a little bit more here. So with these final four games, the final quarter is the biggest question mark on this ball club, the defense. Can the defense is the question here, the defense, can the defense do enough to help out this ball club and maybe help out this offense and win out and give them a shot to get into the postseason? Is the defense the biggest question mark now? I mean, in the middle of the season, the beginning of the season, probably thinking it was the offense, right? Like they just couldn't do anything. It was what was that just that mind-boggling number. Like it was after like middle through the season where the Packers were moving the ball consistently up until they got in between the 40s. It was like when they got into the 40s, that's when they stalled. But now they're putting up some points. They're moving the ball. So with this final quarter, with these last few weeks here, is it now going back to the defense? And the defense hasn't been, you know, fantastic consistently throughout this year. There's been its ups and downs. We all know this, right? Not breaking news or anything. But with these final four with the Rams, and then you got, Miami with that offense, Minnesota with that offense, Detroit with that offense. It's got to be the defense. That's the biggest question mark now, right? Your biggest worrisome? Is it the defense that's going to hold this team back from winning out? You have more confidence within this offense now? Let's jump into it. Let's talk about it. All right. So we'll take that first break and then the opening drive. We're going to kick things off here. A little football Monday. I want your key prediction. I want your predictions. I want your key matchups, keys to victory, all that fantastic stuff. All right. Let's do it. Let's get at it. First break. We'll talk a little green and gold ahead of tonight's Monday night game against the Rams. The holidays are here. It's the big week leading up to it. If you haven't planned yet, if you haven't gotten your planning underway, you better get to it. But Hy-Vee's there to help you out from their top line meat department that features many different types of meats and cuts to choose from, to their world-class bakery and spectacular wine and spirit selection. You'll be able to not only host that epic holiday get-together for friends and family, but you'll even be able to knock off a few items off that Christmas wish list for you, for your family and friends. Do a little Christmas shopping there, last-second Christmas shopping there. Make this holiday season one to not forget with the help from your friends over at Hy-Vee in Eau Claire. All right, opening drive. Monday Night Football, Packers taking on the Rams. Packers looking to win out and maybe sneak into the postseason here. Can they do it? Can they actually do it? Going up against the Rams, who have also been one of the most disappointing teams, right? One of the more disappointing teams in the league this year. Super Bowl champions, defending Super Bowl champions. They've been hit with injuries. Matthew Stafford, Cooper Kupp, Aaron Donalds, Allen Robinson and Matthew Stafford haven't really, when they were out on the field together, haven't, developed that connection there. So you can look at, some of these NFC teams and, look at the beginning of the season and you look at like the Buccaneers and the Rams and the Packers, and those are probably three of the most disappointing teams, not just in the NFC, but in the entire NFL this year. So when we look at this game, and if you're kind of wondering, well, okay, what have the Rams maybe done decently this year? What have they done? If you kind of look at it in terms of the numbers, what have they been able to do this year? Well, again, injuries could be a factor in this thing. But if you're looking at total yards per game, offensively, total yards averaged per game, Los Angeles is the second worst team in the entire NFL in terms of yards averaged per game offensively. The only team that's worse than them is the Houston Texans. The Rams averaging 283 yards per game. And you're like, now hold up a sec. That's Sean McVay. It's the offense. They're supposed to be known for offense. Again, could be injuries. I think that is a big factor in everything here. But still, not that great. And comparison sakes, Green Bay is just about middle of the pack, 345.6 yards per game. If you kind of wanted to break it down in terms of passing yards, you've got the Rams in the bottom third, Green Bay about halfway again. If you want to do like rushing yards per game, we know the Rams have been kind of all over the place with their running game. They are the third worst team in the entire league in terms of rushing yards per game. They're only averaging 86.1 yards per game. The two teams that are worse than them, kind of surprising here, Chargers 83.1 and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the worst team in terms of rushing yards per game, 74.3. One team that actually surprised me and towards the bottom here is the Vikings with Dalvin Cook and company over there at 95.4. 95.4. Again, Green Bay, kind of in the middle of the pack there, averaging 125.4 yards per game. And these are all based off the entire season. Rams averaging 16.8 points per game, which is second worst in the entire league. Green Bay is towards that bottom third-ish. They're averaging about 20.2 points per game. So we know the Rams offense has been poo-poo this year. It hasn't been good for various reasons. So what about the defense, right? What about the defense? Well, their defense has been about middle of the pack in terms of yards per game given up or allowing, I should say. They have been better than Green Bay if you're just looking at the numbers. The Rams have given up 330.5 yards total per game. Green Bay's defense has given up 347. if you want to break it down to passing yards, again, this is, there's more to be said about this because right now, you're looking at it, it's like Green Bay's got the third best passing defense because if you see the graphics tonight, it's going to pop up. It's going to say Green Bay's got the third ranked pass defense. Well, it's based off of yards per game. But we know that there's maybe a little bit more to it. But Green Bay's given up 192.9 through the air so far this year. The Rams, meanwhile, they're about bottom of the third, 228.6. But the Rams' rushing defense so far this year, and again, with Aaron Donald not being on the field, could have an impact in this too. But the Rams have been a top 5 team in terms of stopping the run this year. They are 4th best in the entire league, giving up just 101.9 on the ground. The only teams that have been better than them, 49ers, the Titans, and the Ravens. Ironically, the Chiefs. Everybody kind of talks about the Chiefs' defense. Are they good enough? Chiefs are the 5th best in terms of stopping the run this year. Points per game given up defensively. Green Bay and the Rams, fairly similar. Rams, 22.8. Green Bay, 23.2. So, now that you kind of know the numbers, the rankings based off, 13 games in for both of these teams. Their 14th game will be played tonight, obviously. What are some of your key matchups, keys to victories, all that fun stuff? Well, even with the Rams doing a good job at stopping the run this year, at slowing down the run, I still feel like it's got to be an Aaron Jones, A.J. Dillon, feeding those guys, setting up the run, or establishing the run to set up the pass. Stick with the run. Be successful at running the football. Picking up some chunk plays, 4 yards, 5 yards. Because if you're establishing that run and you're having some success running the football and you're staying committed to running that football, that's what's going to allow you to have those deep plays to a Christian Watson or big plays to a Christian Watson or opening up the middle of the field for an Allen Lazard. Stick with the run. Even though with the Rams having success this year, you have got to win up front and open up some running lanes, open up some running holes for your 2 running backs. Get them involved, but have success. You can't start drives with negative plays. You can't start drives with, running the football and picking up a 2-yard loss and putting yourself in a 2nd and long situation already, or even getting into a 3rd and long situation. Positive plays in the running game and staying committed to it. That's what's going to make Christian Watson dangerous. That's what's going to open up the big plays down the field. I'll be curious, Jalen Ramsey, right? Everybody talks about him as being one of the premier corners in the league. Who's he going to be matching up against? Is he going to follow anybody around tonight for Green Bay? Does he follow Christian Watson? Does he just line up and whoever lines up across from him, that's who he's going to take? When Devontae was with Green Bay, we knew that, Jalen wanted to follow him. It's just that was a little talking back and forth and that sort of thing. We remember that from the playoff game and such. But, with Watson playing at the level that he has been right now and with his speed, I would assume that maybe the Rams are going to try to put Ramsey on Christian Watson, as much as they probably can. But also, too, does that open up opportunities for Romeo Doubs, who's going to be coming back? And Matt LaFleur kind of, mentioned the other day, too, about, expectations for Romeo Doubs coming back from his injury and missing the last few weeks here. Maybe, not going to be going out there and playing 90% of the snaps and such. But with the level that Christian Watson has been playing at these last few weeks and, and kind of adding Romeo Dobbs into the situation, I'll be kind of, this might be our first glimpse of what potentially this passing offense can look like for the next few years. It's not going to be the tell-all, depending on what happens tonight, but maybe we can get a little bit of a glimpse of it. But you have to win up front. You have to open up those run lanes. Allow Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon to pick up some chunk plays. 4 yards, 5 yards. That'll help out the passing game. That'll get things going. Right? Also, easier said than done, probably at this point, too. Other keys to victory. Looking at it and you're like, well, Rams, they haven't been good at running the football this year, so maybe that'll actually help out this Packers run defense. I mean, their leading runner is just Cam Akers so far this year, who's, carried the ball for 11 or 113 attempts in 11 games for just 376. They haven't been able to do that. Darrell Henderson was there for a little bit, but they just have not been able to run the football. So you're thinking, hey, that maybe actually helps out the Packers run defense tonight. All right, well, take advantage. Don't let the Rams be able to establish the run. Just because they've been struggling at running the freaking football this year, don't give them any confidence in running the dang football. Don't. And also, too, looking at this Rams defense, they've got 3 guys who have 5 sacks this year. Those are team leaders. Jalen Ramsey's actually got 2 sacks. He's like, he'd be tied for 5th on this roster right now. But one of them won't be playing, Aaron Donald. The other is Leonard Floyd. And the other is Bobby Wagner, the longtime Seattle linebacker. Now, probably haven't heard a whole lot about Bobby Wagner this year. And I think a lot of that is just due to because, the Rams have struggled this year. But Bobby Wagner already has 111 tackles so far this year. He's got 5 sacks. He's got an interception. He's got 4 passes defense. He's got 7 tackles for losses. You still have to be aware of Bobby Wagner, where he's at on the field. Because he can still cause a little disruption out there. He can still be a player who affects games, right? So, 45 out there. That's going to be key to kind of, Aaron Rodgers is going to be paying attention to where Bobby Wagner's lining up and where he's going to be at on the field. But I got to imagine if you're the Rams, you're going to try to let Bobby Wagner loose, and you're probably going to let him try to, put a little bit more pressure on the quarterback. He's probably going to be really effective in trying to slow down the run game of Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon. He's going to hit those holes. So that's what's going to be really imperative for this offensive line to get to that next level in that blocking. So that Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon can get to that next level, get those 4 yards, get those 5 yards, and not be stuffed at the line of scrimmage or not be stuffed behind the line of scrimmage. And, obviously with Green Bay having, if they can establish that run and picking up some chunk plays here, being able to hit the big plays, being able to be effective in the passing game. Giving Aaron a little bit of time, receivers. If you're able to establish that run, being able to hit on the big plays. That's kind of where I look at this game. Green Bay should win this game. They should. But how many times have we said that this year with this team? Right? How many times have we thought that they should have won? And we'll see how when the season ends, and I'm sure there'll be some people out there like, if the Giants make the postseason, well, that loss against the Giants was against the postseason team. Jets, we'll see what if they make it in. Washington, we'll see if they make it in. Tennessee, Detroit, for crying out loud, they might make it in here too. You never know. So maybe the losses look a little bit better, but I don't want to use that as an excuse. This was a team that was supposed to, contend for a Super Bowl this year. And the fact that we have to talk about winning out here just to have a little bit of a hope to get in the postseason. That's disappointing. The biggest thing to me for Green Bay has just been their inconsistency this year. And that's the only thing that's really kind of like, that's the wild card in this game for me. Like Green Bay has the advantage in a lot of areas in this game on paper, through the eye test, but it's just been the inconsistency from this team that gives me a little bit of pause. That makes me nervous for every single game left. Has made me nervous for every single game the last few weeks. You look at Chicago at the beginning of December. They had to have a come from behind victory to get that victory. I just want Green Bay to go out there, look refreshed, dominate the game from quarter one to quarter four, and build some confidence and build some momentum into that huge Christmas Day game. And everybody's, we talked a little bit about it on Friday. I don't give a rip about the weather. Green Bay could say that's Green Bay weather, Packer football weather. It's cold. We know, yes, the Rams is going to be one of the coldest games that they've ever played in their history, in their franchise history. I get it. We get it. We all get it. But the thing is, in the last few years, weather hasn't been a big factor for Green Bay. Let's be real. The numbers show it. We talked about it last week. Aaron Rodgers is what, 4-4 in games that are like, was the temperature 15, 20 degrees or lower or something like that? 4-4. If the weather was such a factor, if Lambeau Field was this big-time factor, Green Bay would have won last year in the postseason against San Fran. Might have had another Super Bowl in here. I don't think weather is this big-time factor. I think it could be for a team like Green Bay. I just don't know if I trust them to use it the right way. I think playing in cold weather is just a mindset. Do you let it creep in your mind? Do you let it creep in and then you start to, anybody who's like kind of maybe gone a little deer hunting or such and it's really cold and such. And then when you start to think about it a little bit, that's when maybe you start to get the shakes here a little bit. Then you try to get your mind off of it. You try to think of something else. But I feel like once it's set in your mind that you're freezing or you're cold, that's when it takes over. So I think to me, playing in the cold, it's a little bit more of a mindset here. But I don't, they've been talking about all last week and leading up to this game. And even, you go on the socials and the media, social media stuff and that, and they're talking about the cold weather and all that. I don't buy it as a huge advantage anymore. I just don't. The numbers are there. I don't see it. I think it could be, but they haven't been able to do it. So stop talking about it. Just go out there and take care of your business and win the dang game from quarter one all the way to the finish line at the end of quarter four. You have the advantage in a lot of different areas. You have to win out. You have to take care of your business in order to have a shot to make it in. We're all going to be scoreboard watching in these last few weeks, but it's not going to matter unless Green Bay takes care of their own business. And it starts tonight. Take care of business against the Rams. Don't think about Christmas Day. Don't think about going down to Miami. Don't think about Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill and that passing offense and that speed. Don't think about that stuff. Think about Baker Mayfield. Think about Bobby Wagner. Think about taking care of business, dominating the game, getting that momentum, getting some confidence. This is your postseason. Right here. This is it. This final quarter. What do you got left in the tank? You're coming off your bye week. You should be well rested for the Final Four. There should be no excuses about, well, they look tired. They look exhausted. I don't want to hear that. I don't want to see that. Go out there and take care of your own. You should be able to fluster Baker here a little bit. You should be able to create some turnovers. You should be able to control the line of scrimmage and stopping the run from the Rams. So let's do it. I want to see an epic defensive performance tonight. I want to see a defense that's flying around. I want to see a sound, disciplined defense, a defense that's not allowing big plays, a defense that's not freelancing. I want to see a defense that just goes out and dominates. Doesn't let Baker Mayfield get into a little bit of a groove. Doesn't make him look like that's the number one overall pick from a few years ago. Don't let Baker Mayfield have some highlight plays tonight. Come on. I want to see a defense go out there and be aggressive, but play sound and disciplined football and not allow big plays and not allow the Rams to kind of hang around. Shut them out. Get it done. I just want to see a complete game. And then we can focus on that Christmas Day game. Your predictions, your key victories, keys to victory, your key matchups, all that good stuff. You can hit us up with a text, tweet, comment on the video, whatever works best for you. We gotta take a quick break. Then we'll be back to finish up the first hour. Do a little motivational Monday. This holiday season, when you're thinking about ways to give, think about giving back to your community. And one way to give back to your community is by supporting the Chippewa Valley Habitat for Humanity. Founded in 1991, the Chippewa Valley Habitat for Humanity has built over 40 homes and has repaired dozens of existing ones within the Chippewa Valley. Habitat for Humanity believes in a hand up, not a handout. Habitat homeowners help build their homes alongside volunteers and pay a mortgage that is affordable to them. If you're in the spirit of giving, there's a few different ways you can help out the Chippewa Valley Habitat for Humanity. You can volunteer for construction and repair work or volunteering at the Restore. And speaking of the Restore, another way to help is by donating items like building supplies, furniture, appliances, and more to the Restore. And by shopping at the Restore, you're also helping out the Chippewa Valley Habitat for Humanity. And you can also make an online financial donation. Details on volunteering and donating can all be found at cvh4h.org. Reminder, this Friday, we will be at the Doododge as well for our Festivus episode, live from 6A to 9A. So if you got the day off, stop on by 6A to 9A. I've got some free drink tickets, and we'll be back from 2 to 3 for a quick live podcast too. But stop on by. Brand's going to be there right away at 6 as well for Friday. Should be a lot of fun there. And if you didn't hear Friday, they will have Man Cave Lights over there, and those tickets will be good for a Man Cave Light. So hopefully we'll see some of you on Friday for our Festivus episode from the Doododge. Let's take a quick phone call this morning as we finish up the first hour already. Good morning. Who are we chatting with?
Good morning.
Who's this?
Happy title. Happy Monday, my brother.
Who's this? Haven't heard from you in a while. Who is this?
Well, I've
been about a week.
Gone a little bit.
Yeah.
It's been a week. I apologize, my brother. You know, I had work I had to attend to last week, and I wasn't able to call in this time slot. But here I am, and I'm ready for some Packer football today.
So if they get a bye week, you think you get a bye week too? Is that how it works out?
Oh, it was no bye week, my brother. But I'll tell you what, I got to miss a lot of this snow. I went down to Little Rock, Arkansas, and in Razorback country there, and I'll tell you what, I came back to this mess. Ugh.
Yeah.
And not very often I want to come back. I don't want to come back home, but boy, when I came back to this, I wanted to go back to Little Rock.
I don't blame you. Man. So, all right, hey, what do you see? What are your thoughts on this game tonight?
Well, my thoughts are this: we got to get the big boy number 28 rolling, and we can't move away from it. You know that when the running game gets going, the passing game opens up, and it's been shown time and time again with this offense. And every time we get away from the run, it hurts us. So I think we got a little bit of a break with Aaron Donald being out, especially with Bakhtiari being out himself as well. So I think with Big AD out of their mix, it'll help our running game a little bit and our passing game. So I just want to see a lot of A.J. Dillon, a lot of Aaron Jones, and then on defense, man, the defense, you talked about it a little bit. That's going to be that's the key to the victory. Are we going to play some tight, solid defense, or are we going to sit back 12 yards off the line of scrimmage and let them dink and dunk and let Baker Mayfield, look like the second coming of Joe Montana? So I think Green Bay should win this game. I'm feeling confident. I'm feeling good. And there's still a pulse there. There's still a pulse for this team to get into the postseason, and that's when it all matters. So
yeah,
I'm looking forward to tonight.
Is with these last 4 games, is it the defense that's given you the biggest worry or concern? That would stop them from potentially winning out here.
It really is the defense, and it's not because the offense stinks. I think the offense has been steadily improving, coming along, but this team is not built to drop 40 on you. So we have to have a defense, and I'll tell you what, I mean, I don't want to look forward because every game matters. So we have to win. We can't lose anymore. I'm really, really, really nervous about the Miami game in Miami. So let's get past the Rams, then we can discuss that one. But yeah, this defense, Joe Barry's got to do some magic, do some work, and do something a little bit different because the defense is going to be what makes or breaks this run here.
Yep, I totally agree, and I'm not trying to look past too, but I just keep thinking of the speed of Waddle and Tyreek Hill, and and just thinking about the secondary and how they're going to be able to keep up with those guys. It's hard not to look past this game and kind of look at that matchup. Really is.
It is hard, and I'll tell you what. Watching that team, that Miami team, boy, you can't play 12 yards off Tyreek Hill or Jalen Waddle, or they'll just run a little 4-yard slant and they'll be gone before you can even try and catch up to them. So, it's going to be something else. And again, I don't want to look past this game, but tomorrow it's a quick turnaround. So tomorrow we'll be talking about this game, and then you'll probably be looking forward and looking ahead to Miami right away. So, yeah, it's going to be tough. But tonight, tough defense. And run the ball, take advantage of A.J. Dillon, and get him moving downhill. And nobody's going to want to hit that guy. It's going to be a scorcher out there. I think it's going to be about 6 degrees. So it'll be a fun one. I'm lucky enough I get to go down to this one, so I'll be heading down there yet.
You're going to the game tonight? You're going to the game tonight?
I am.
Oh, look at you!
I'm going to the game. So first my kid had bought tickets, and then my neighbor across the street, a good buddy of mine, Mike, he's got season tickets, so he and I are going to go roll down there and take in this one in the cold. So we're going to see if these old bones can handle that kind of temperature in the evening time for a game yet.
Well, take the top off, man. Let's get that crowd riled up, okay? Get the whistling going. Can the whistle survive in this cold temperature?
Can survive. The fingers get a little chilly, but I'll be having hand warmers in the pockets. But yeah, you'll hear me, and I'll be down in the regular bowl. So I'll try and make sure you can hear that.
Perfect. Well, safe travels, man, and hopefully we'll hear from you tomorrow morning and get some thoughts from you. Okay, bring back a W.
That's the plan. Bring it back a W. You have a great day, El Capitano. Good talking to you. Thanks for having me.
You got it, buddy. There you go. There's C-Bomb hopping off here this morning. He's going to be heading off to Green Bay here in a few hours. All right, let's we'll get back to some football talk here, but let's finish up this first hour with a little motivational Monday. My motivational Monday pick, I'm going to the other football World Cup, and I know maybe a lot of you haven't watched it or not, maybe didn't pay attention to it too much, but Argentina getting the World Cup final, and the big thing out there was Messi getting his first World Cup trophy. And I saw some people kind of on Twitter trying to compare it to, like, I think a big one is this like Elway winning, Super Bowl 32, finally, getting his Super Bowl, and a lot of, and I'll be honest with you, I'm not a big, big time soccer fan, but kind of reading some of the stuff, they said it's even bigger than that, way bigger than that. So motivational Monday. I mean, come on, you get one of the best soccer players of all time, Lionel Messi, getting his first World Cup, Argentina. Their first World Cup in a long time, too. That's an easy motivational Monday pick right there. So that's mine. If you got some other ones that you want to pick for motivational Monday, you can do so by hitting us up with a text on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line, or tweet it at DANKASPER, Facebook.com/Kasper Sports. All right, coming up to kick off the second hour, we'll do some sports nuggets of the day. We'll catch up with JC and the EC. We'll get more predictions. Send me your predictions. The Honorable Travis from A-Town saying, I'm excited to see Dobbs and Watson both healthy and on the field at the same time, although we'll most likely have to have a heavy dose of Jones and Dillon with the weather conditions. Go Pack Go. So get your predictions, keys to victory, key matchups. Send those babies on over. We'll throw a little hoops talk in here too because, well, this might be a perfect, TV radio night. Put on the Packers game on the TV, listen to the Bucks game on the radio because it's this radio station. Going up against the New Orleans Pelicans. New Orleans, second seed right now in the Western Conference. So, one in already on this Football Monday. Keep your thoughts coming. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back after these quick news updates with some sports nuggets of the day. Second hour kicking off on this football Monday. Appreciate you all tuning in, however, wherever you may be tuning in on this December 19th. Coming up in just a little bit, we'll get back to some more green and gold chats with the Monday night game against the Rams tonight. Kickoff at 7:15. Keep your predictions and your key matchups and your keys to victory coming. You can hit us up with a text on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line, 715-830-1912, or hit us up on Facebook and Twitter. We got, say, studs and duds coming up in about an hour from now. So if you want to give us your studs and duds, you can do that as well. And plus, it is a Press Pass Monday. If you could ask one question to a sports person out there and get a truthful answer, this is your chance to be a part of the media. What would it be? What would it be? Got a inkling. Some of you might maybe ask good old Bill Belichick from yesterday's ending of that game, if you know what I mean. So before we get to a little sports nuggets of the day, let's welcome our good buddy, Mr. JC and EEC, Justice Cleveland, sports director, Sports Scene 13. Morning, boss. How you doing, bud?
Good morning. Doing good. Doing good.
You ready for the holiday? I saw your family's holiday greeting. Always good.
Always thank you. Thank you. Yeah. I mean, I don't know if I'm ready for the cold.
Yeah.
The bitter cold that now we're getting to experience. But hey, it's a white Christmas, right?
Mm-hmm. That's true. That's true, man.
So it's just frozen now, so it's not going to move for the rest of the year.
I got to ask you, how did it take you long to find that Lego guy? Look like, you know?
Not really. Trust me. There's enough Lego guys going around that you could pretty much make a facsimile of anybody if you really need to in our house.
Nice. Well done. Well done, as always, with the Cleveland fam.
Thank you. It was fun. It was really fun to do.
Good stuff. Hey, let's do some sports nuggets brought to you by ANSI Insurance here this morning. Got a few of them. 1917, the first regular season games of the new NHL were played. 5 teams made up the league. Toronto Arenas, Ottawa Senators, Quebec Bulldogs, and the Montreal Canadiens, and the Montreal Wanderers. So that was 1917 already. Let's go 1959, Penn State beat Alabama 7-0 in the first Liberty Bowl football game. 1964, ABC used an overhead camera for the first time. It was at the Liberty Bowl. So there you go.
It's a big bowl game.
Yeah, apparently. 1979, ESPN televised its first NHL game. The teams were the Washington Capitals and the Hartford Whales.
The whale.
Yeah, I still like that logo.
I do too. Yep.
1984, Wayne Gretzky, at the age of 23, became only the 18th player in NHL history to score more than 1,000 points. He did it in his 424th career game. The previous record was held by Guy Lafleur, who did it in 720 games. Same day, same year, same sport, Scotty Bowman became the NHL's all-time winningest coach with his 691st victory in 1984.
Jeez, and he went to coach for another 20 years almost.
Yeah, exactly. You'll like this one. Your guy, Larry Legend, Larry Bird, 1989 began an NBA free throw streak of 71 games. Just dominant.
That's him. Sweetest shot ever.
Oh, yeah.
Man.
One of the most underrated trash talkers of all time, too.
Right. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
You look at that guy and you're like, he ain't trash talk. But then you listen to everybody talk about it. Like, I was listening to Charles Barkley telling another story the other day about Larry Bird's epic trash talking. So it's awesome. I love it.
Yeah, it was his birthday last week or 2 weeks ago. I always retweet the ultimate mixtape.
Yes.
For Larry Bird.
Yep, I did see that.
And it's just so fun to watch. I love it. I mean, I've probably watched it, 100 times, but it's just, there's always something you'll see on there that you're like, oh my God. Because people don't, people just thought, Larry Bird could shoot. He could dunk. He could pass with the best of them. Like some of the passes he could pull out were amazing. Okay. I can gush about Larry Bird the whole time. My favorite of all time. Let's just keep going.
1990, Bo Jackson became the first athlete to be chosen for all-star games in 2 sports. 1990. So
another legend.
Yep.
That definitely from my youth growing up, that would have been is the biggest what if maybe in my sports lifetime.
I was just gonna say one of the big what ifs out there for sure. That wasn't for that injury, man. You kind of wonder. Do you think he could have been if he would have stayed healthy? Perhaps a Hall of Famer in both sports.
I think so. I think baseball would have been tougher just because of the longevity of
Mhm.
having to play it. But I think football wise, yes. I
Yeah.
mean, the way he ran the ball and how dominant he was, I mean, it would never happen again. I don't think we're ever going to see a two-sport star. We might, but I think it won't. But the way he was as good in both sports, we never saw. Dion was okay in baseball, but he was not a Hall of Fame caliber guy in baseball.
Right.
But yeah, Bo was right there. And yeah, I mean, I remember the play where he ended his football career, where he ended up busting his hip.
Yeah.
They were talking about him playing the next week. Like
Man.
that's it. They didn't realize how bad it was until it was like, okay, he needs a whole hip replacement. I mean, it's nuts to think that he was, and like they said, no other human probably would have been able to just walk off the field, but Bo Jackson did. So yeah, what an amazing, amazing athlete.
Yeah, you mentioned you're probably not seeing players play two sports. I think with the way contracts now are dealt out there, I feel like whoever gets, if like Kyler Murray, I know, that might be the most recent one, right? Where is he going to go to baseball? Is he going to go to football? That sort of thing. And I just feel like now with all these contracts out there, whatever sport they're going to go to, that team is going to make sure that person is not going to play another sport.
Yeah, I think only way it would happen is if somebody happened to own both teams.
Yeah, or this is like a world class athlete where part of the bargaining is like, yeah, you can play both sports if you come here, sort
Right.
of thing.
Yeah, it's because anyway else, no one's going to want to commit so much money knowing that there's a chance for injury in a sport that you have nothing controlling. So,
Right.
yeah, it was a special time, though. I think we had Brian Jordan, Deion Sanders, and Bo Jackson, all three.
Brian Jordan. I forgot about Brian Jordan.
Yeah, and he was actually a pretty decent cornerback as well.
Yep.
I think both played for the Falcons, both Deion and him. So, yeah, it was a pretty neat time. But yeah, a time I don't think we're going to see again. But don't forget about Danny Ainge as a two-sport athlete too, baseball player and NBA player.
Yep, you're right. And I know he didn't play in the NFL, but remember Charlie Ward, Heisman,
Yes,
and then made a name for playing with the Knicks and hoops. So
he played for a long time too. Though, like, don't discount him. He was a very above serviceable point guard for the Knicks for about 10 years. So
yeah, 94 to 2005.
Here we go. Look at that. I do remember some things.
Charlie Ward, good old number 21 over there. So, do you think Bo Jackson? We talk about one of the most, or we talk about like transcendent or influential athletes and all that sort of stuff in terms of like how they change the game or change their specific sports. But do you think Bo Jackson, maybe in a bigger picture, was one of the more influential athletes because of just his name and his lore and the legacy and all that? Because you think of video games, you think of Tecmo Bowl and all that sort of stuff. Would you put him on that short list of one of the most, one of those most influential athletes of all time, and not necessarily just based off his play on the field?
Oh, I definitely would, because I would say at his height, he might have been more popular than Michael Jordan.
Ooh, really?
Like Bo Jackson's stock,
Mm-hmm.
let's say around 1990, 91, and maybe before Jordan went on his run of winning titles, Bo was that guy. I think Jordan eventually, usurped him and took that title, but from what I remember, Bo was everywhere. Every commercial was Bo Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he transcended not just the fact his play on the field was so limited, but Bo Jackson was an icon before he even was done playing. So yeah, I think the brand of Bo Jackson, he definitely did influence a lot. I think a lot, if you go with that money wise, the media and stuff like that, the Bo Knows campaign.
I was just gonna say Bo Knows, right?
Was huge.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was huge. And then what came after Bo Knows? Be Like Mike.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, Jordan obviously had his own brand at that point, but you gotta give a lot of influence to Bo as well in that Nike contract that he had.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Man, that might be a good question. I might make that. Who was the most influential athlete for you personally? For you personally out there, doesn't matter the sport, but like maybe like as a kid growing up, you were like, oh, I got to buy those shoes, or I got to wear that shirt, or maybe that's the athlete that got you to play a sport. I'm going to throw that out to everybody.
I think you know who mine was. We talked about him about 5 minutes ago. So.
Larry Bird, Larry Legend.
Yep, Larry Legend.
Yeah, I think mine was Tiger Woods. Because I've said it numerous times, but I kind of started dabbling into golf because my aunt was playing, but he made it cool, I think, for my generation to go out and actually play golf and play it competitively, like for school and that sort of stuff. Like he made it cool. Like I stopped playing baseball because of golf and that. So I think I'd pick Tiger.
That's a good one because, I was 16, 96, 97 is when I started playing golf. And I don't know how much Tiger influenced it, but definitely golf was so much out there more in the mainstream that it probably turned me more to playing it and starting golfing than it probably would in a normal generation. So I'm sure Tiger, even if wasn't really thinking about it, influenced me as well. So yeah, that's a really good one.
Yeah, I remember I'd have to go buy the Nike golf hat, the Nike golf balls, that sort of stuff, and try to be like Tiger a little bit.
Yeah,
and
I have to admit, I had the Nike golf balls, and I think I'm probably not buying those unless that Tiger Woods was using them.
Right.
So I agree with you. I think you could go Bo, Jordan, Tiger right there, three. Maybe the biggest, especially if you go from like 1990 to 2000, that started influencing a lot of people.
Yeah, I know Arnold Palmer because I had it. He had the Sega game for golf and that, but you talk about like the entertainment stuff and video games, it exploded with Tiger. That sort of stuff.
I would say with golf wise too, I was a big, looking back, I was a big Payne Stewart fan too.
Yep.
Because I did, to me, it was just like that style, that going out there and just, being different, wearing something different that caught my eye too. So yeah, it's that era of golf and that's what influenced me.
Yeah. You think maybe like Griffey Jr. would be on that list for some people too, like baseball in that sort of time frame, the video games and all that too?
Yeah. Oh, I agree. I had Ken Griffey Jr. baseball for Super Nintendo.
Yep. And the swing, everybody tried to emulate that swing.
Yeah. He was the biggest baseball player at that point. He was the guy that everybody thought was going to break all the records. So yeah, I would put him right there too. We're getting a good list here.
Yeah, we are.
Iconic, like late 90s, early 90s athletes. So it's kind of like an evolution that we have going, because I think Griffey kind of took over after Bo got injured. So
the one though sport that we're kind of lacking in a little bit maybe is football. I know Bo was in it, but you're talking like a Hall of Fame football player.
Yeah, Dion.
That's who I was kind of trying to think of a little bit.
You still had Jerry Rice.
Yeah.
Montana for me was my favorite quarterback. So you had Montana kind of at that point. Favre comes in there mid 90s, and we forget how big he was, winning all those MVPs, and he was very iconic as well. Tons of receivers come through. That's like kind of where the golden era started of receivers too. So
I agree.
Yeah.
Hey, before we take a break and get back to a little bit more green and gold talk, I want to catch up on a few things with you here, Justice. I know it's a few days old and such, but going to the blue gold side of things, head football coach Wesley Bishoner stepping down. He's accepted a position as associate head coach and offensive coordinator at Sioux Falls, kind of over in your neck of the woods. Is that, Justice?
No,
you're North Dakota, right?
I'm North Dakota.
That's right.
Oh,
I know. I get them mixed
next
up.
time
I'm
I
sorry.
see you, I'm giving you a noogie. Okay, I'm coming up and I'm grabbing.
Okay, Limp Biscuit. But looking at the last few years, it's another blue gold coach heading to the Dakotas, right? Because Dan Larson went to North Dakota State over there. So looking for another head football coach over there for the blue gold program. Dan Schumacher is.
Yeah, it's a tough decision. I think I'm sure it wasn't easy for Wesley to step away, but in the grand scheme of things, I think he's getting closer to his family. He's the guy that that became the head coach there at Sioux Falls. Also was somebody he coached with at South Dakota. So it was one of those fits where you could see it happening if get that offer, and that's a big D2 associate head coach, offensive coordinator. So he has the credentials, obviously being a head coach in D3, but also was a quarterbacks coach at Maryland. So it's a surprise, but I think now going forward, as Dan Schumacher said in his press conference that day, they're looking for stability. Things can't be built in one or two. If you're expecting things to be built in 2 years, it's probably not going to happen. You need to have that consistency. And he looked at teams like a Whitewater, which have basically had 2 coaches for the last 20 years.
Right.
Go to River Falls that had to build up. And this, the last couple of years are, reaping the rewards. So, and even you look over at Clay Birmingham at Stout, he's been there for a long time too. It's a lot, consistency is going to build victories. And I think that's what they're looking for. They want somebody who they can have in for the long haul. And I imagine that's going to be a part of, or a big part of who becomes the next Blue Gold's head coach.
Yeah, and that's kind of something that I know we were talking a little bit about late last week, Thursday, and as like maybe, looking for that consistency, that coach that'll stay around in a few years, because it's a little different than like D1, I would think, a little bit, because a lot of these kids, they're committing, to play D3, a lot of it with the area and with the coach, right? So you want that coach maybe to stick around a little bit longer, because those kids are, they're not getting scholarships to come play football. They're coming to play because they want to come to the area and they want to play for a program and for a certain coach. Well, you probably want that coach to be able to stick around for a little bit.
Oh, exactly. And, with the Blue Golds, they're going to have some big changes coming up with the facilities wise. I mean, at some point they're going to be playing, up on campus. They just keep building that stadium up behind McPhee, Simpson Field up.
I see
so
the bleachers are coming up there right now.
Right. Yeah. So you're going to have new facilities at some point. So that's something that, if you get somebody who stays for the long time, that's a selling point as well. So, and with D1 coaches, you get basically 3 years.
Yeah.
And you're done.
Yeah.
And obviously with the way the Blue Gold struggled this year, if this was a D1 program, I don't know, what would have been the chances that Wesley Bashana would have stayed, or they would have given another chance at a D1. But they were, fully ready for him to come back and get another year and hopefully, kind of gel together and come back on the field. So now it's a change, and, the kids who are left on the program are going to have to deal with a new coach. But in a way, maybe, it works out for the Blue Golds, because now you find that person that you can have for that long run.
Mm-hmm.
And again, Dan always says that he has a short list, and he already contacts those short lists as soon as the opening was there. But it'll be interesting. I mean, I'd never heard of Wesley Bashana before,
right.
They hired him. So when Dan says nationwide search, I think that's what you're going to get.
Yep, definitely. I know some of the local stuff prep wise, last week with the weather kind of threw a wrench and everything, but you were able to check out a basketball game on Friday night, and what a heck of a performance was it from Memorial, right?
Yeah, Mason Stoik.
Mm-hmm.
What a game. I think he had around, from my math, and I was figuring up just from watching the video, around 20 points in the second half. Took the old Abe's from trailing by, I think, about 7 or 8 to getting the win over River Falls. Now, credit to him. On offense, he was red hot, hitting all the threes that he was shooting. But his defense for the whole team just clamped down, and they enabled him to get those shots. So it was a total team effort, but Stoik just had the hot hand, and they rode him all the way down to a victory. So that's a Memorial squad that had played some really close games in the first couple of weeks of the season and was not able to get the win. So for them to kind of turn the page and get the victory over a conference rival like River Falls shows the growth that they're having so far this season. And Stoik, who's a senior, is going to be just that guy they're going to lean on as that, that veteran leader on that team. It's a team that won the conference last year, so he's no, stranger to winning. It's just a little younger squad that they're dealing with this year.
Mm-hmm. And then, I know this week we got a few games and such on the schedule, a few matches, and then it's the holidays there. But, one big one I think is coming up on Thursday with the Wisconsin's first ever women's dual meet in wrestling. And Eau Claire North is going to be taking on, or they're going to be wrestling in Nakusa against Nakusa, Nakusa Assumption Papermaker. So, that's women's wrestling has really kind of increased in these last few years, and North has been one of those programs that has really risen with women's wrestling.
Oh, indeed. And Jake Rebin, their head coach, the head coach of the men's team, but he's one of those guys who's just all about the growth of the sport. And he has done such a great job. And I'm sure you get the emails that he sends out, and just they're detailed about how things are growing. And yeah, I mean, women's wrestling is growing across the state, and to have a meet like this coming up, that's great. Mm-hmm. And you love to see these sports grow. And 10 years ago when I got here, that wasn't happening. You'd have a few female wrestlers every once in a while, but now that the fact that they're going to have their own state tournament, they're going to have these separate meets. It's great to see, and it's just part of the growth of the sport. And I think the sport had to branch out to the female side as well, just to keep it going. And I think that's, it's going to be huge as time goes forward.
Yeah, I mean, because how many times we talk about maybe a sport losing, participants or getting smaller in numbers. We got a sport here that's actually rising, increasing in
Right.
numbers here.
Exactly. And a brand new one,
Mhm.
really. I mean, if you think about it in the grand scheme of things, a brand new part of an old sport, obviously. But yeah, that's really growing in numbers. And yeah, for me, it's just being, covering as much prep sports as I cover. It's really cool to see something like this happening.
Yeah, definitely. So, with this week leading up to Christmas, is there anything else that's kind of, keeping your eye on or games that you're kind of paying attention to?
I mean, it's going to be basically a full schedule
Yeah.
for the conferences and stuff like that up until you get till Friday, and then everything just stops for
Right.
about 4 or 5 days. So yeah, I mean, it'll be a good week to get out there, and just there'll still be some conference rivalry matchups and stuff like that going on. So it's going to be busy up until the end of the week. So we'll have plenty to show you.
Awesome. Good stuff. Yeah, appreciate it, Justice, breaking it down here for us. Hey, we're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to get back to some football chat. Isn't it kind of weird, Justice, to say this is the first and only Monday night game the Packers have played this year?
I know. It seems like a team that normally gets scheduled a ton of primetime games, which they still have a decent amount of primetime games. But yeah. And this late in the season too. Usually they get early on. So yeah. It's a different feeling.
Definitely. So we're going to talk some more green and gold. Keep your predictions and picks and key matchups coming. We'll get to those in a little bit, but we got to take a quick break. We'll be back after these few words. Everyone's decorating for the holidays. Well, maybe most of us are decorating for the holidays. Anyways, many of us are decorating our homes with fancy lights, big trees, and just making our homes look magical this time of year. But when this season is all said and done, it's back to normal in your home. No fancy decor, unless you celebrate Christmas all year long, that is. But what I'm getting at is after we tuck away all those decorations until next year, your home's going to look a little less magical. That's because you haven't updated that flooring of yours in like forever. We'll change that, people. Don't just make your home look magical for 1 month out of the year. Make it look special every single day with that new floor from Carpet City Flooring Center in Eau Claire. From carpet, tile to luxury vinyl planks, Carpet City Flooring Center has many different options for you to choose from to help make your home look amazing every single day of the year. I mean, come on, you got to spoil yourself this holiday season, right? Finally get that new floor you've been wanting for a while now. Stop on over to Carpet City Flooring Center and get started today. All right. Already flying on by here, JC. We got Packers taking on the Rams tonight, Monday Night Football in Lambeau Field. Packers needing to win out to give them a fighting shot to get into the postseason here. We were kind of doing some breakdowns here, Justice. I mean, from all the numbers and the stats, and you kind of look at it, Green Bay should win this game, Justice, but when you phrase it like this, then this is what gives you pause. Green Bay has won only 2 games since week 4. 2 games since week 4.
Right, and all this enthusiasm coming off of a Bears win against a Bears team that's now 3-11.
And it was a come from behind victory they had to get through. You know, like they were down right, and they had to make that comeback in the 4th to get it.
Yeah, it's I mean, it's a must win. Mm-hmm. You know, you always hate putting those monikers on games, but if you don't win this, I don't think you can get into the playoffs.
I don't even want you in the playoffs if you can't win this game.
Right. I mean, you got a Rams team coming in, playing in the coldest game they've played since playing in Green Bay.
Yeah.
December 20th, 1992. I only know this. And you might have saw this on Twitter.
Yep, I did.
I was at that game.
Oh, I didn't know you were at that game. I didn't see
I
that
was
part.
At that game, yep. And it was like 20-some. It wasn't even 20. It was like 11 degrees. It was cold. I just remember my feet being froze. Yeah, it was 11 degrees with 12-mile-per-hour winds. This was at kickoff at like noon.
Oof. So
now, what's the best part of that game? As we go back in history quick.
92.
Terrell Buckley, pick 6.
Oh, gosh. That's like one of the only positive highlights from T-Buck in his Packers time.
They scored 28 points in the second quarter, the Packers. That's all the scoring they did. All of it came in the second quarter to get the win. So it was pretty cool. I mean, there's some good names. Flipper Anderson had a touchdown. Tony de Zendejas made the field goal for the Rams. Darrell Thompson had a rushing touchdown, and then Sterling Sharp had a passing reception from Brett Favre. So, yeah, that I remember that game, fondly, saying that I remember getting home and my feet were ice cubes. That was my first ever Packers game. So, yeah, it's pretty crazy that, almost exactly 30 years to the day, you have the Rams coming back to Lambeau. So, again, putting it this way, the Rams should not be able to handle these conditions. Well, you should be able to play it and be used to it.
Yeah. Like, first of all, it's kind of weird. I think what was the number? Like, this is, like you said, this is their coldest game since 92.
I believe that's what I saw stat on. Now, this is, believe the Twitter statisticians. Wow, that was a tough word to say. But yeah, that's what I saw. Is going to be the coldest game in 30 years.
Man, so that's just, I don't know. That's kind of hard to believe for me too. But you know what? A topic that, we kind of touched on a little bit last week and a little bit this morning here, Justice, was, Aaron was saying last week, this is Packer weather. Matt LaFleur talking about the weather and that. But how much of the advantage is the weather? I mean, the numbers are like when Aaron starts in a game, I think it was like 15 degrees or below or something like that. He's 500. He's 4-4. So, I mean, how much of an advantage is the weather or has the weather been for Green Bay? Because, maybe I'm being a little too negative on this too, because San Francisco won last year in the postseason when the weather was crappy.
It's exactly what I was thinking too. I was there. I watched the team jump out and looked like they were going to dominate because of the weather, I think. And then things all went, haywire after that, special teams wise, especially.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was 15 degrees last year.
Okay.
And that probably dropped because that was a late afternoon game. So, yeah, I don't know how much it is. I think cold affects. I think early on, maybe you're better at, adjusting to the earliness. But after a while, I think I remember people saying this afterwards. After a while, everybody's cold.
Yeah.
Like maybe for the first, 15 minutes, and kind of like that San Francisco game, you saw the Packers jump out there and looked like they were going to dominate that game.
And it was the fumble by Mercedes Lewis, I think, that kind of turned it.
Right. And then eventually everybody's cold and everybody's dealing with the same thing. So yeah, it'll be interesting. I think if you're the Packers, that's something you would like to do, is jump out. That's something they haven't been able to do this year, is really jump out on a team. So if you're going to do it, you got to do it. And then you're going to give the fact that Baker Mayfield played in Cleveland. It's not like he hasn't played in tough conditions in his career. So I think Baker will probably be able to adjust for it. So, but then again, this is a guy who's only been on the roster for a week and a half.
Yeah.
He was on the roster but was on the roster for 48 hours and got him a win last week. So pretty crazy.
He was the Browns quarterback Christmas last year going up against Green Bay. So
yeah, so he's played in this stuff before.
Yeah, definitely. And just I think hearing Aaron talk about that in LaFleur, I feel like it can be an advantage, but only if you use it the right way. I feel like cold is like almost it's a mentality, it's a mindset. Like once you start to let it creep in your mind that you're cold, then you're screwed. Like I use the comparison. I might be the only one that would use this comparison, but like when I'm sitting in a deer stand, Justice, and then I start thinking about how cold I am, then I can't stop shaking.
Right. We went to Irvin Park yesterday in Chippewa Falls to look at the lights, and it was 7 degrees. But in my mind, I was okay because there was no wind. So I'm like, oh, it's not that bad. But even once you're out there for 25 minutes, no matter if there's no wind or not, if you have the best boots or not, some cold's going to creep in. So yeah, it is. Once you start getting that mentality that the cold has crept to your body, I think that's when it's like the game's off. You're going to get cold.
Yep, I agree. We went through some of the numbers, rankings, and that were how these teams, kind of match up or how they've been doing throughout the season. And the one thing the Rams actually have done well this year, they're a top 5 team in stopping the run this year. Now, no Aaron Donald in this game, but even though they are top 5 in the run defense, Justice, how important is it still for Green Bay to try to get Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon going in this game? And are they the catalyst that opens it up for guys like, because everybody's talking about Christian Watson now, right? Are those the two guys? Is that running game the big catalyst to get Christian Watson going in this game?
Oh, I think so, because I mean that's what keeps Aaron on his feet too. Aaron Rodgers, if you're passing every down, and he's not going to be able to move as well. To even as if you're at home, it's not going to be the field because it's just going to be cold, and guys just don't move as quick in the cold. And trying to throw a cold ball with a damaged thumb.
Oh yeah,
there's a lot of things there that don't seem like they're going to work out that great. So I think the running game's huge tonight. I think you've got to establish that run. And this is the Packer. If you want to talk about Packer football in this kind of weather, getting that running game going is huge, because that's the biggest thing that can keep you in, is just pounding and pounding and pounding. So yeah, I think the run game, and you've seen Dillon kind of step out of his shell a little bit again lately here. And I think Aaron Jones is just, again, I think is the team MVP in my mind is Aaron Jones, because just of what he's been able to do, not only in the backfield, but also catching. I think, you got to get them going, and then you can open up and take maybe those deep gouges and see if you can get Christian Watson to keep that, his touchdown streak going.
Yeah, and this is what we envisioned for A.J. Dillon, right? Was December, cold games, big time running back. Nobody wants to take a hit or nobody wants to try to tackle, the quad master, the quadzilla of A.J. Dillon. So I look at this game. This is why A.J. Dillon's on this team, right? Is for these cold, late weather games and to really try to make it painful on defenders.
Right. And you're hoping too is that, on the other way, the Packers defense doesn't get A.J. Dillon, by the Rams.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think Dillon is going to be huge, and just run over people like he's been doing. He has really been running over guys. I feel like the last couple games even more. It's just him running right at guys and just taking them down. So when you have a guy like that and everything seems to hurt more when it's cold, that's what you want. So, yeah, I think, Dillon's probably going to get a few more carries just because we're not sure what Aaron Jones' exact status is going to be. I mean, he's if he plays, then obviously he's there. But I think Dillon, you can expect a little more A.J. Dillon as well.
You mentioned the Packers defense there too, and that's the thing is like, the Rams have been not good at running the football this year, but this is also the Packers run defense here, and it's like, well, let them, be able to run the football. They haven't been good this year. Darrell Anderson's not there. They got Cam Akers. They've been struggling to find that running back or being consistent with the running game. Well, don't allow them to have success running the football. And that to me is one of the concerns, not only for this game, but for these last 4 games, Justice, because I think in the last few weeks here, the Packers offense has actually been like 6th in scoring. They started to catch on here a little bit, obviously with Christian Watson. But to me, the biggest concern for every single game for the rest of this season is going to be, can that defense just do enough now at this point? Can they stop anybody? Are they going to make everybody look like Pro Bowl and Hall of Fame type players out there?
Right. You don't want to have Baker Mayfield come in and somehow manage to rush for over 100 yards or something like that.
Yeah.
It's stopping the mobile quarterbacks has been huge. Not that Baker's the biggest running threat, but he's still mobile.
Mm-hmm.
And that has just been something the Packers, on a third down, seems like you give up the middle of the field and you have a guy run right up for the first down. So I think you've had basically 2 weeks, you get a little extra day with even the Monday night. This defense has to come out and show something.
Yep.
Show some fight. And for Joe Barry, he I don't want to say, I don't know. I mean, it's tough to say if he's coaching for his job, but I think he's got to be close to on that edge.
Yeah.
The defense has just underachieved the whole year now. Injuries don't help. And I don't know how much you want to go changing. I think LaFleur likes having that continuity. So I don't know how much, but I think for Joe Barry, this last stretch here is going to be a big test to see where this defense can go in the future.
I agree. All right. We got to take a break. We'll restart the Zoom here and then finish up this second hour here. So get your picks on in. We'll get to those coming up here in just a little bit. Also, don't forget, we got some studs and duds to get to it as well. So send your studs and duds from the weekend with a quick text at 715-830-1912. We're going to take that break and then finish up the second hour after these quick words. That Christian Yelich autographed jersey, we're going to be giving it away today. So if you nominated a youngster, make sure you need to check your emails later today to see if you are the winner. So we've got our panel of people taking a look at the nominations, and they'll be selecting the winner. So make sure you're checking your emails later on today to see if that youngster that you nominated is going to win that autographed Christian Yelich jersey. And it will leave my office. It's still hanging up in my office, so I'm gonna miss it. But we've had some good nominations out there, so I'm sure it's tough on our panel who is making the selections over there. So big thanks to everybody who has nominated somebody and signed up to win that thing. That's pretty cool. So, Justice, we only got 9 minutes left here. So just in case you're not able to stop on by Friday for Festivus, I got to ask you few kind of like holiday questions here, okay?
I'm ready.
What is your favorite holiday Christmas movie of all time?
I like the classic Grinch.
Okay.
Now somebody's like, you mean classic Jim Carrey? I'm like, no, I'm older than that. The classic 30-minute Grinch. Because I grew up when like the Grinch, Rudolph, Frosty, like anytime those were on, the Charlie Brown Christmas, those you stopped.
Yeah.
Everything, the world stopped when you were a kid. Whatever network channel they were on, you watched. So the Grinch to me was always my favorite. So I go with the Grinch.
All right. Because you are a music person. Are you into the Mariah Carey one, or are you like over that song?
I am a classical old. I'm just an old man. I mean,
I'm a Bing Crosby guy when it comes to Christmas.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
I got my vinyl collection, so I got Frank Sinatra, the Christmas album. I got like 2 Bing Crosby ones. So I'm like more of a classical guy. So nothing against Mariah's song, which at this point is what, 20, almost 30 years old.
Yeah.
So it's not like it's new, but I'm more of the classic, the crooners kind of Christmas. Or throw the Chipmunks in there. One of my biggest finds at the thrift store was finding both the Chipmunks Christmas albums a couple years back.
I had that CD when I was a kid.
Yeah,
I forgot about that now until you just mentioned that. I think it wasn't a CD. It was a cassette. Yeah, even older.
Ooh. See, I got the 2. Yeah, see, I like that.
All right, is Die Hard a Christmas movie?
I say yes.
Okay, so then is Lethal Weapon a Christmas movie?
Ooh,
everybody talks about Die Hard and that, but nobody mentions Lethal Weapon.
That's true. That's a good question. I guess. Yeah, in that case, I'll give it to it. I will let it go. Yes, I will allow it.
Yeah, they got the Lights Christmas, or Mel Gibson takes down somebody at the Christmas tree place or whatever. Yeah, I mean, if Die Hard's a Christmas movie, Lethal Weapon's got to be a Christmas movie, right?
Right. I wonder how Die Hard, because they both came out about the same year too. So it's pretty interesting to see how Die Hard has gotten that, but Lethal Weapon hasn't.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to throw one out. I know I think I asked you this before, but I'm going to throw another movie out, and I think you said no. But is Rocky IV a Christmas movie? He fights on Christmas.
The kid gets the robot
for
Christmas. Sure, because he's close to the North Pole working out.
That's true.
Secretly, Santa was up there helping him train. Yep. That's the deleted scene you don't see, is when he has a big like emotional speech with Santa Claus.
Well, remember, Paulie's listening to the Chipmunks Christmas album in that scene too.
Oh my goodness! When I was a kid, we had the Rocky IV aired on like CBS or something like that, and it was during the Christmas season, and I had it on like VHS recorded off TV, and it was just like all the Christmas commercials and stuff. So because of that, tying into my memories there, I will make it a Christmas movie as well.
All right. Now, how about...
I've changed my opinion from the last time you asked me.
I think I did. How about Rambo First Blood?
Oh, dear Lord. I mean, I guess. I mean, that is such a if you've ever seen First Blood, it's such a different movie than the rest of the Rambo movies. Much like how Rocky 1 and 2 are so much different than 3 and 4.
Right.
I'll say no because of just how much violence there is. That's complete. Like, you can say Die Hard obviously has this violent, Lethal Weapon, but my goodness, First Blood is an emotional. I don't want it to be tied to Christmas because it's almost too traumatizing.
Did you see the previews or the trailer of that one? It's got the guy that's in Stranger Things that plays Santa.
Oh, David Harbour.
Yeah. I'm like, okay, not to spoil it, but it's like Santa being an action hero. I'm like, okay, are they trying to do the whole Die Hard sort of thing with that movie? You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't look appealing to me to watch it, but I almost feel like I have to watch it.
Can I go on a tad bit like a 2-minute rant here?
Yes, please. Please.
What is the deal? What's the deal? Sorry, my Seinfeld.
I was gonna say,
what's
Jerry.
the deal with, like, all of a sudden, like, Santa can't be just Santa? Like, Santa has to be like a guy around my age, maybe a little older. Like, let's look at the guy from Mad Men. Why can't I think of his name?
John Hamm.
John Hamm for like the World Cup commercials.
Yep.
Like, every Santa now is like a 45 to 50-year-old guy in really good shape playing Santa now. Like, Santa's Santa.
Mm-hmm.
Like, let's let him be a little schlubby. You know what I mean? let's just let him.
Or even Kurt Russell in like the Chronicles, he even makes fun of like or gets upset when they, portray Santa as a little chubbly, as you said.
Well, maybe, yeah. I mean, maybe I'm just old school here. Not like, if anybody remembers 60 Minutes and Andy Rooney, I feel like I'm turning into him right now. What's with Santa, and why is he all of a sudden skinny? So, pulling all the deep cuts out today.
Right? Exactly. We're throwing out some movies that maybe people didn't even think of were Christmas movies. I'm just saying.
No, that's fun. That is a lot of fun.
I think I love Lethal Weapon. I love it. You want a shot at the title? When he's taking on Gary Busey. Come on, that's awesome.
I mean, it's a Christmas movie and it has Gary Busey in it.
Exactly. I just love you want a shot at the title?
I just want to know why Danny Glover never retired.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he's
getting too old for and yet he does 4 more movies or 3 more movies.
Well, then you had Joe Pesci to the mix after that. So yeah.
I think I saw Lethal Weapon 4 because I think that's the last one, right?
Yeah, is that like with Rene Russo in there or something?
Oh, Russo came in 2.
Was she in 2? Okay. No, yeah, 4. He's got short hair. Mel Gibson does.
Yeah, that's when Chris Rock joins the fray.
Yes, you're right.
So I saw that, and I remember because it featured the song "Fire in the Hole" by Van Halen. Do you remember who was there? Oh, you probably don't know this, but this is when Gary Sharon was their lead singer for like one album.
Oh, geez.
Me and my friends were big Van Halen fans. It's from Van Halen 3.
Wow, I should ask. Because we got a huge Van Halen fan in the building right now, Alex from Wax.
Yes, ask him about Van Halen 3.
Okay, I will.
And what his opinion is that, and tell him I need a response.
Perfect. Because he's got Van Halen shoes that he wears once in a while. Like
I love Van Halen.
Yeah.
Van Halen 3. I had hope. And I remember we were like early on. I know we're running out of time here, but this was early on in the days of the internet. So this was like 88, it's 98, 97. And we were getting like finding MP3s, real audio player, if you remember that.
Oh, yeah.
Of just little clips of like 15-second clips off of Van Halen 3 that took like 3 days to download. And we're like, oh, this is going to be a great album. It was not a great album. I mean, rest in peace, Eddie Van Halen, just a virtuoso, great, one of the greatest guitar players of all time. Van Halen 3, though. You kicked Sammy Hagar out, and it did not work.
Did not work. All right, I'll have to ask Alex that. So see what he says. I'll let you know what he says too.
All right.
We only got about a minute left. So quick prediction. Do you think the Packers win tonight?
I do. I think the weather is going to be too much, and the break for the Packers finally getting that bye, too much for the Rams to overcome. I'd say I'm not going to go high scoring. 24-13.
24-13. All right. I like it, man. Well, if I don't get a chance to catch up with you on Friday or talk to you before then, you, your family, your kiddos, I hope you guys have a fantastic Christmas, man. Thank you very much.
Yes, you too, and everybody out there, happy holidays and Merry Christmas. Enjoy it. It's a white Christmas. We got what you wanted to. Just bundle up.
Is Dad going to be having to go out sledding with the kids during Christmas break or something like that?
I mean, I already did once.
All right, so you have to do it
again.
I will.
Yeah.
You opened up that door.
Right.
That's a mistake, man. You opened up the door. Now you got to do it.
Yeah, I already got a cold, I think, from doing that and shoveling. So good times.
Good times as always. Oh, man. Well, this went by fast, buddy. So appreciate it. And, hey, we'll talk again soon. Okay, sir?
Sounds good. Happy holidays.
You too, buddy. All right, that shot clock's going to cut me off here, but really quick, we're going to kick off the third and final hour with some studs and duds. So if you got some studs and duds from this past weekend, you can text those babies on over. Then we'll get back to more football talk. Don't forget Bucks playing on Pelicans tonight too. Perfect night to have a little TV and a little radio playing. Have the Packers game on TV, have the Bucks game on this radio station playing in the background too. All right, 2 in. We got one more to go. We'll be back after these quick news updates. All right, here we go. Third hour kicking off already on this Monday morning. Dan Kasper Show is on the air. Appreciate you tuning in wherever and however you may be tuning in. Radio dials, a couple of those babies, 105.1 FM, 790 AM. You can also stream it online at sportstalk1051.com, where you can also get the YouTube live video stream link. Otherwise, it's up on Facebook and Twitter, the video stream too, facebook.com/CasperSports. We've got also on Twitter at DANKASPER. You can also download the Sports Talk app and your Google and Alexa home devices. We're going to get back to some more Green and Gold chat. Don't forget, get your picks in. Get your predictions on in, all right? Text those babies on in. Tweet them, Facebook them, comment on the video stream, TikTok, Instagram, whatever. Whatever you want to do. Email it. Keys to victory, your key matchups, all that fun stuff. But we kick off this hour like we usually do every Monday with the little studs and duds. All right, so my studs and duds, I've got one each. I try to limit it to just like one or two for each category in here. But my stud, I'm going to go with the Joker, Nikola Jokic from the Denver Nuggets. So he dropped 40 points and had a career-high 27 rebounds and 10 assists in another triple-double the other night when the Nuggets beat the Hornets there. But he also joined Wilt Chamberlain and Elgin Baylor to become the third player in NBA history to record at least 40 points, 25 rebounds, and 10 assists in a game. Wilt Chamberlain actually did it 4 times. So other than the Joker, Chamberlain is also the only other player to put up a stat line of at least 40, 27, and 10, which, again, Chamberlain did at least 10 times. So that's my stud, is the Joker, who, back-to-back MVP right now, just getting it done again this year. He already has he's got 5 triple doubles this season and 81 overall. When you look at his stat line, he's averaging 25.2 points per game, which is just 18th in the league, but he's 6 in rebounds, 10.9, and he's averaging 9 assists per game, which is 3rd in the league. We're talking about a 6'11", 285-pound center who's 3rd in the league in assists right now. Dude's a stud. My dud, it's pretty easy. If you haven't seen the ending of that Patriots game, do yourself a favor and go look it up. Unless you are a Patriots fan and then you don't want to revisit it. But, and that's kind of where my press pass is going in this thing too, is that, if I could ask Bill Belichick one question and actually get a truthful answer from Bill Belichick, because this is a guy who how many times talks about coaching, and I think there was a quote he had said one time. Let me see if I can bring it up, because I think Albert Breer had retweeted or had tweeted what the quote was. Then I'm like, oh, that's definitely a Bill Belichick quote. And we know, coaches can't be on the field and holding the hands of players and then telling them, every single thing here. But, for my press pass question, if I could ask Bill Belichick one question, obviously I would be asking him something about, what was going through your mind when you're watching this play unfold, the lateral and that sort of thing. Like what is going through your mind? But the quote was, Bill Belichick once said, "You're pushing it or you are allowing it." Now, Jacoby Myers, who was the one who threw the backwards lateral, threw the pick there, he had said this after the game: just trying to do too much, trying to be a hero. I thought I saw Mac open. I didn't see Chandler Jones at that time. I thought Mac was open and tried to get it to him and let him try to make a play with it, but the score was tied, so I should have just went down. That's the thing. It's tied. You're going to go to overtime. It's not the appropriate time to do some lateraling and do some trick plays and all that. I do wonder with Myers if he was, when Stevenson picked up to 23 yards and then he lateraled it, I wonder if that kind of caught him off guard and that kind of like set the telephone or the domino effect. Like, oh, he lateraled to me, so I got to lateral it. That sort of thing. But Myers also said, after the game, the instructions in the huddle were just run the ball, go down. So I wonder if that was kind of a domino effect there a little bit. You know what I mean? Like he got the ball. It's like, oh, crap. Okay, we're doing this thing. We're doing it. I'm not trying to make excuses for him. But, I mean, that was just overall a dud of a performance from the entire team there in that situation. Got to know the situation. You got to do better. I mean, holy moly. That was awful. It was just downright embarrassing. So that's my dud. Is the Patriots ending of that game against the Raiders. All right, before we get back to some more green and gold chat here, let's chat a little hoops because we got a big basketball game tonight too between the Bucks. I know it's early season, and obviously they're going up against a Packers game tonight, but this is a big time hoops game that you can listen to on the radio dial here. Bucks, Pelicans. Pelicans, the second seed right now in the Western Conference. They've been kind of going back and forth with Memphis at the top there, but Memphis holding on to a one-game lead for first place in the Western Conference. Bucks right now are the first seed in the Eastern Conference after the Boston Celtics have gone 5-5 in their last 10, where the Bucks have gone 7-3 in their last 10. So right now, the Bucks holding the slight advantage in terms of win percentage over the Celtics. Bucks have a 724 win percent. Boston 710. But you look at this Pelicans team, perhaps one of the more pleasant surprises of the NBA so far. And last week we were talking about the discrepancies in these home and away records for a lot of the teams in the NBA. Pelicans are one of those teams. 12-3 at home. 6-8 on the road. And this game is in New Orleans. And the Bucks so far on the road this year, they're one of actually the few teams that have a winning record on the road, 7-5. You know what the weird one is? The Knicks. The Knicks are 7-7 at Madison Square Garden, but 10-6 on the road. They're 4 games above 500 on the road. Boston's 11-5. On the road here too. Bucks, remember, they've played a ton of home games to begin the season, so they may not have as many road games as some of these other teams out here. But you're looking at Memphis. They're on a 3-game losing streak. They've lost back-to-back games against the Jazz. They just lost against the Suns. They've played the Suns 3 times. 3 times in the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games. It's been Suns, Jazz, Jazz, Suns, Suns. They get a little bit of a change up here. But when you look at this Pelicans team, when you ask people, all right, well, name a person on the Pelicans team, the first one's going to be Zion, right? Zion Williamson. We got Brandon Ingram, who's also on this team. You got CJ McCollum. I mean, that's a nice, young, three-headed, 3-person team there. I know McCollum is probably a little bit older. He was drafted in 2013, so he's kind of the veteran of this group. But you pair him up with Brandon Ingram and Zion Williamson, that's a nice trio right there. It's a nice young team. They're 18-11 on the season. They're obviously a different team when Zion's, healthy this year and being on the court and being an effective player, playing like what they expected him to be when they drafted him number 1 overall a couple of years ago. And I've been seeing some people kind of talking about, is this kind of like Memphis from last year? Memphis, a younger team, surprised a lot of people last year, making the postseason. Could that be the Pelicans of this year? Maybe. You got Memphis and the Pelicans on the top in the Western Conference right now. But this is going to be a tough test for the Bucks. These next few games are going to be tough tests. It's all going to be on the road. 5 games straight up on the road. And 4 of the 5 be against some of the premier teams in the entire NBA. Starts tonight with the Pelicans. Cleveland, the 3rd seed in the East right now. Wednesday, 4th seed in the East on Friday. Brooklyn. And as of right now, the 2 seed, but it could go back and forth. Boston on Christmas Day. tough stretch coming up here for the Bucks. And tonight it sounds like we won't have Chris Middleton. I know Adrian Wojnarowski tweeted out, was it 3 days ago, a couple days ago, that Joe Ingles is targeting his return versus New Orleans. But if you look at some of the latest, the designation on the 17th, when they played Utah, he was out. So maybe we'll see Joe Ingles make his debut for the Bucks tonight. Maybe, possibly. But that was from Adrian Wojnarowski. Was it Friday or Saturday? A couple days ago when he posted that up there. But that would be nice to kind of see him and kind of get our first glimpse of what he could bring to the table. We keep hearing about him. We know about like his 3-point shooting and such throughout his career, right? We've heard about that. And he's a career 40.8% from the three. He's only played with Utah. Last year with Utah, he shot 34.7, but the year before that, an astounding 45. I would love it if we can get that performance from three, from 45% from there. But again, tonight's the night where you have to get a TV, put up that Packer game, and then turn on the radio dials to 105.1 FM or 790 AM and tune into the Bucks game. That tip-off will be at about 7 o'clock. Coverage will begin at 6:30 tonight. All right, let's take a quick break, and then let's keep on keeping on with your predictions, your keys to victory, key matchups in tonight's game. How did the games yesterday affect the potential for the Packers to maybe sneak into the postseason? Did any games really affect that from yesterday? We'll tell you. We'll talk about that. We'll update you on all that fun stuff. So we'll take that break, and then coming up, back to a little more football talk after these quick words. All right, Christmas is coming up this weekend, obviously, but if you're looking for maybe some last seconds, last minutes ideas, gift ideas, and that sort of thing, why not actually, give something that people actually want? How about this year? We actually, ask or give something that we actually need or that we're going to use for once. And I'm talking about, maybe getting some new tires to replace those bald ones, maybe getting a new battery. Heck, maybe even getting an oil change. You can accomplish all that by heading over to ASAP Used Auto Parts here in Eau Claire. Maybe you're in the market for that hard to find auto part for a vehicle you're restoring or to save some money on some auto repairs. ASAP Used Auto Parts, baby. All that and more can be accomplished with ASAP Used Auto Parts, from best deals on tires, batteries, those hard to find high quality used auto parts, and oil changes. So this holiday season, if you're looking for that last minute gift idea, give something that truly matters. Taking care of that vehicle. All right. Let ASAP Used Auto Parts help make it a very Merry Christmas for you, your family, and friends, and for your vehicle. All right. So the final quarter officially starts tonight for the Green and Gold. Packers are sitting at 5-8 with a victory. With a victory tonight, the Packers would move within one game of the Seahawks and the Lions in terms of the playoff picture here. So this is where it officially stands right now after yesterday's games. Okay, not a whole lot of movement. Not a whole lot of movement. The big game from yesterday that could impact this was last night's Giants-Commanders game. Commanders lose, so now you're probably hoping, the best way to hope for this is that the Commanders lose at least two more of these games, right? So the Giants are holding on to that sixth spot, that sixth wild card spot. The Commanders are still in that seventh spot. Seattle is right behind them, along with Detroit. So Washington's 7-6-1. You got Seattle and Detroit at 7-7. If the Packers pick up a W tonight, they will improve to 6-8 and move into a game of Seattle and Detroit, who are just on the outside looking in, thanks to that tie that the Commanders and Giants had a couple of weeks ago. Now, when we look at the upcoming schedules here, this is where maybe if you are the optimist or you're holding on to some hope that potentially Green Bay can maybe, just maybe squeak into this thing. The Commanders' final games are on the road against San Francisco, and maybe San Francisco's potentially looking at, they got the division wrapped up, but they could maybe play for a 2 seed at this point, depending on Minnesota. So that's still in play for San Francisco. So you got the Commanders that have to travel out west to face the 49ers this weekend. Then they're also at home against Cleveland. Cleveland with that win against Baltimore. They're technically not out of it yet, but this AFC playoff picture is getting to be a little bit more interesting, I guess, because you've got Baltimore now, who's a wild card team because of their loss and Cincinnati's win. They're at 9-5. They're at the 5 seed. Then in 6 and 7, you've got the Chargers as the 6 seed at 8-6. Miami 8-6 as the 7. You've got New England and you've got the Jets at 7-7, just on the outside looking in. And then you've got a few teams at 6-8, including the Jaguars, who got a win against the Cowboys. The Raiders with that victory yesterday against the Patriots. Cleveland's at 6-8, and Pittsburgh is at 6-8. So, again, Cleveland, what kind of version of the Browns are you going to get when the Commanders go up against them? And then the wild card in this whole thing, too, is the final game on their schedule for the Commanders, which is the Dallas Cowboys. But the Cowboys might not have anything to play for. They might have that 5 seed locked up at that point. Well, we kind of mentioned that, right? They might have that 5 seed locked up, and they may not play their starters against Washington. So you're kind of probably really hoping, okay, Commanders, if you can lose 2 more, it's got to be these next 2. It's got to be against San Fran, and it's got to be against Cleveland. Now, on the other side, it's still possible, with the Giants. Okay, if the Giants lose their next 3 and Green Bay wins their 4, they can get in there too. Giants, they're at Minnesota. And I'll be honest with you, I don't know what to expect from Minnesota. I don't know what to expect from the Giants. I really don't, if I'm picking today, I'm picking Minnesota, but not the most comfortable in that. Then they're at home against the Colts. You're going to get the first half Colts from Saturday's game or the second half Colts in that game. And then they wrap up the season against Philly. And, that, again, Philly, we mentioned it last week. Are they going to play their starters? Assuming they get the 1 seed? Are they going to play their starters to get some reps in so they're not rusty and not have a full 2 weeks off? How will they play that? A little bit of an unknown here. And then you still have to hope for Seattle to lose another game. And you look at Seattle's schedule coming up in these final 3. Well, they got to travel to Kansas City. They just got to lose, they got to lose that one. And then they got the Jets at home. Jets will be playing for their playoff lives. And then they finish up with the Rams. So that's where, it's possible. But again, it's not going to matter unless Green Bay can't win out. And it starts with the game tonight against the Rams. And I understand a lot of the focus has been on the weather and the advantage for Green Bay in that. I think the bigger advantage, if there is an advantage for Green Bay tonight, if there is something that will motivate them or that, it's got to be the fact that they still have a little bit of a chance. They still have a little bit of playoff hope. And if they win out, they may squeak in here. But they got to take care of their own business. And it starts tonight. I just want to see a performance from the first quarter all the way through the fourth to the end of the game of a team that is playing focused, disciplined, motivated football, not thinking about next week against Miami, not thinking about spending Christmas in Miami. I want to see a team that's going to go out there and set the tone, jump out to an early lead, and not let, even if they jump out to an early lead, not let the Rams just hang around and then make it a game in the second half. I want to see the offense continue to play at the level that they have been the last few weeks, that offense that has been 6th in scoring in the last few weeks. I want to see that offense continue that way. But I want to see the defense go out there and just bully them. I don't want to see this defense play undisciplined, allow the Rams to hit some big plays, allow the Rams to run the football, which they haven't been able to do this year. I don't want to see this defense make Baker Mayfield look like, a Hall of Famer or Pro Bowl or anything like that. Jair mentioned the other day, 7 interceptions. All right. Put your money where your mouth is. Let's see this defense force some turnovers, make some plays. Enough with the chit-chat. Enough with the talk. Do the talking on the field. I want to see the performance of a top 5 defense. And I get it. This Rams offense is not the Rams offense of last year. It has not been the Rams offense the last few years. They are poo-poo this year. But I want to see this defense gain some confidence because they're going to be in for a track meet next week or this weekend. However you want to say it, next week because it's Sunday. Go out there and take care of your own. Don't rely on the weather helping you out. Enough with the weather talk from their side and all that sort of stuff. That don't mean nothing once the whistle blows. Get it done. You've won 2 games since week 4. Think about that. Since week 4. That was the New England game. That was the New England game. Since then, the Packers have won 2 games. Dallas, Chicago. Yet, here we are, still talking about the potential that they can sneak in to the postseason. 2 games since week 4. We are on what? Week 15? 14. 18, 17, 16, 15. That's I kind of went through, some of my key matchups in the first hour. If there's one thing that the Rams have done well this year, it has been slowing down the run. It has been stopping the run. They are a top 5 team in terms of yards allowed on the ground so far this season. They won't have Aaron Donald. He's been ruled out. That is a big loss in that area. But even so, they have to get their running game going. They have to, this is why you have A.J. Dillon, right? This is what we've imagined with A.J. Dillon for the last couple of years. These December games at Lambeau Field, cold weather, having a big old bruising running back like A.J. Dillon, where guys don't want to take on big backs when it's cold out there. That's what we always hear about, right? All right, let's unleash 28. Let's see 28. This has got to be a 28 game. And that's not to say completely ignore Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones is probably your most dynamic playmaker. You have to get him involved. But this has got to be a game where A.J. Dillon has success running the football. And it's going to start with the offensive line, too. The offensive line has to create those holes. They have to win at the line of scrimmage. They have to win in the trenches. Zach Tom's going to get another start at left tackle. But it's got to be between the tackles. It's got to be, between the guards and the center, up the middle. That's where I really want to see this Packers offensive line really dominate and allow these running backs to get to that second level. Because you got Bobby Wagner who's going to be around there trying to fly around. He's going to try to really affect and try to really stop this running game. So this offensive line has to create those holes to allow these running backs to get to that second level. Let A.J. Dillon bruise up some guys tonight. You cannot start your series, first down. You can't have negative yards. You can't get into second and long situations, third and long situations. To help out this passing game, you've got to get the running game going here a little bit. So I know the Rams have been a top 5 team in terms of yards allowed per game on the ground, but you have got to get that running game going tonight. You have got to be successful at running the football and being consistent with it. Because then you get to have that little play action going. You can get that play action going. You can hit Christian Watson for a big play. You can hit Alan Lazard for over the middle. Maybe even Randall Cobb up the seam. Hey, maybe even Bobby Tunyon up the seam too. And Romeo Doubs is going to be back on the field. We'll see how many snaps, if he's going to be on a snap count or how much they're going to rely on him coming back from injury after these last few weeks. But it'll be good to see Romeo and Christian Watson actually on the field together because we've barely seen that so far this year. And I think, too, with these last 4 games coming up here, high-intensity games, high-pressure situation games, right? Got to win. Must-win games. How are these youngsters going to react to that? Are they going to rise to that challenge? Are they going to play up to that level? Or do the nerves kind of get to them? Does the pressure get to them a little bit? We know a few of these veterans have been there before, right? Rodgers for sure, Crosby, some of these other guys, they've been there. But how are these youngsters, coming into this final quarter of the season? Watson, Romeo Doubs are going to be counted on as being critical parts of this offense to help them, push them over to the top into the postseason. Can they rise to that challenge? Can they rise to that pressure? secure the football, catch the football, make some plays with the football in their hands. Can they make those big plays? Because after this Rams game too, I mean, at least on paper, Green Bay should win this game. But for whatever reasons, it's just we have not seen consistent football from this team, and even those 2 wins since week 4, the Cowboys and the Bears one, they've had to overcome double-digit deficits to get to that. It hasn't been easy. For whatever reason, it has not been easy. Hell, their other wins haven't been that easy. Tampa Bay, 14-12. They had to stop a 2-point conversion at the end. New England. I mean, Chicago, they won 27-10 in the first in the second game of the season, but they were down early in that game too. None of their wins have been easy this year. We actually going to see something like that tonight, or is it just going to be another one where we're sitting on the edge of our seats and you're just kind of crossing your fingers, hoping that they can grind it out and grind it through and pick up the W? I want to see a complete performance week or a quarter 1 through quarter 4. I don't want to see a team that's tired. I don't want to see a team that's exhausted. You got your bye week. You should be ready, rested, ready to go for these final 4. I want to see some energy out there. I want to see you flying around. I want to see you making some plays. Finishing this thing strong. Nobody's going to lay it down for you and try to help you get into the postseason. Not Miami next week, because they're fighting for their lives. Not Minnesota. They don't want you in there. Detroit's going to be fighting for a spot. And even the Rams tonight. They're playing for some pride. They're technically, let me just double check. They're not eliminated yet. I think with a loss they would be because, well, the Cardinals were just eliminated with 4-10 and the Rams are 4-9 right now. So they're playing for something yet tonight. I want to see a high energy team coming out and setting the tone early, jumping out to an early lead, and then the defense putting a stranglehold on them. Get it done. There's no excuses. Get it done. I think Green Bay wins tonight. I could see yeah. I mean, would it surprise anybody? Maybe for a few. But could you see Green Bay maybe like winning by, I don't know, 14, 17 points, and maybe you're not that surprised, but also maybe winning by like just 3, or hell, even losing this game? I don't think I'd be surprised with anything tonight, to be honest with you. I don't. But I think Green Bay wins by 10. I'll go 13. I'll go 27-14. I'll go 27-14. I think Green Bay, they'll put up a couple touchdowns early. Then they'll kind of coast there a little bit. And then maybe put up a touchdown in the 4th again to kind of seal it. Yeah, I'll go 27-14. I'll go 27-14 on this one. There'll be a few at moments. There'll be like, just what are we doing here? It's going to be like too close. It's going to be too comfortable, or it's not going to be comfortable. It's just like, okay, it feels like Green Bay's. I feel like this is a game where Green Bay's felt like they've been dominating, or feels like they should be up higher, leading by more, but it won't be. It'll just be like, they're just hanging around. Rams are just hanging around. And then finally there'll be a play made that just kind of gives you a little bit more breathing room. So that's kind of where I'm feeling with this game. I don't think Aaron Jones or A.J. Dillon will each get 100 yards, or I don't think either one of them is going to get 100 yards rushing. I think they're going to be tough yards. I think they're both going to get double-digit carries. But I think you're going to see them really try to establish the run, really try to split those carries. and it's going to open up some plays over the middle and maybe deep down to the sideline. Got to get that play action game going tonight too. And I'll be curious to see if Jalen Ramsey's going to match up the whole night against Christian Watson. Has he done enough in these last few weeks to where, all right, he's going to get the number one defensive back, Jalen Ramsey, following him around? Or is it just going to be like, all right, he might be lined up against Watson. He might be lined up against Allen Lazard. Not necessarily going to follow anybody across the line of scrimmage. All right, let's take a quick break. Last call for your predictions, picks, all that fun stuff. Give me some key players too. Who's a key player on the offensive side, and a key player on the defensive side for you? I'll make my picks coming up after we take this quick break where we cover the bases and some closing statements as we wrap up this Monday morning after these quick messages. don't forget this Friday. It's Festivus. We'll be at the Dodge 6A to 9A. Stop on by. Participate in our Festivus party. It's also kind of a little holiday party for the best listeners in the area. If you can't make it from 6A to 9A, we'll be back down there between 2 and 3 for a live podcast episode. And then I'm gone. I'm gone for a while after that. So let's do a little Festivus rights on Friday. Bring your airing of grievances. Maybe we'll do a little feats of strength. Still got to find somebody who can bring a metal pole. I don't think I've got one. Might have to. Metal bat count? I don't know. We don't want to make it dangerous or anything like that. But 6A to 9A, I'll be handing out some free some tickets for a free tap beer that includes, we will have Man Cave Light on tap over there. Beer Man says it will be there. So there you go. I'll have those to pass out as well. Should be a lot of fun on Friday. Looking forward to that. And bring your own lists of grievances. Bring your own airing of grievances. Hopefully, maybe like Surveyor. Hopefully we can see you. C-Bomb. Hopefully we can see you. G-Man. All the rest of you out there. Be a good group. Should be fun. All right, let's cover some bases before we get to some closing statements here. Obviously, we talked a lot of green and gold with the game tonight. Again, kickoff at 7:15. You got the Bucks game at 7. So get that Packers game on TV. Get the Bucks game on the radio, 105.1 FM and 790 AM. Also, too, we talked a little World Cup. Argentina is your winner. Messi getting his first World Cup there. We talked about some of the other games across the NFL from this past weekend. That weird ending for the Patriots and Raiders. The Vikings making the biggest comeback in NFL history. I mean, it was kind of all over the place, right? Kind of all over the place. Bengals making a comeback against Brady. Brady, for the first time, 8 losses in a season in his career. Speaking of the Bengals, if you look at FanDuel Sportsbook, latest Super Bowl odds, the Bengals are the team that made the biggest jump. Right now, the Bills are still the favorite at a plus 350, Eagles plus 430, Chiefs plus 500. And then you've got the Bengals at a plus 750, tied with the 49ers at plus 750, Cowboys plus 1100. Before that, though, Bills were plus 380, so they slightly improved. Eagles were plus 450. Chiefs were plus 450, so they've fallen a little bit. 49ers were plus 750. They stayed about the same. Cowboys plus 900. They fell down. Bengals were plus 1,200, so they jumped up all the way to 750. 750. What else do we got out there to hit up? We got a couple. Let me see if that's going to load up here. I don't have enough time here. We had a stud and dud from Mike. My stud is my 11-year-old daughter who went out this morning, waited for the bus, never complained once about the temperature. And my dud is the whole defensive staff of the Indianapolis Colts. Yeah. Jeff Saturday didn't do so well coaching on Saturday. Okay, that was a lame joke. All right. Forgive me for that one. Forgive me for that. What else do we got? Do we have anything else we want to kind of hit up there? No, just kind of going over some of the main stuff there. All right, let's key players for the game tonight, or I'm still trying to come up with a creative name for this. I know everybody says like key players or sleeper players. I want to put our own twist on this. So if anybody's got any suggestions, hit me up. I want to put our own unique flavor on this, like must perform type of players or something like this. I'm going to go and try to pick one on offense and defense. Offensively, I'm going to go with the interior offensive line. I know it's not one player, but I kind of factor that the offensive line as one whole, as one group. So I'm going to narrow it down a little bit more to like the interior offensive line. A.J. Dillon up the middle and such. It's easy to pick A.J. Dillon and a guy like that, but I think the offensive line is going to have to help him out and open up some holes. So I'm going to go with the interior offensive line for Green Bay, and then defensively, I'm going to go Preston Smith. I want him to put some consistent pressure on Baker Mayfield tonight. I'm going to go Preston Smith on this one. And, I mean, you could throw Jair out there, too. I mean, Jair, if you're saying that you're thinking 7 interceptions or anything like that, I want to see it. All right? I want to see a few turnovers tonight. But I think I'll go Preston Smith on the defense. Again, trying to come up with a unique name to this, like our must-perform players. I know Dickie V's got PTPers, primetime players. What's like our must-perform type of players? Got to come up with a better name for that, though. All right, closing statement. So, completely switching gears here a little bit. Badger football, most specifically Jimmy Leonard here. The more we don't hear, or the less we hear about Jimmy Leonard and his potential future, the more I kind of wonder 2 options here. 1, is he eyeing the NFL? Or 2, is he maybe just saying, you know what, I'm going to take the year off? Because, we've got college football programs that are filling their openings, their head coach openings. Unless he's eyeing a defensive coordinator position elsewhere in the college world, I just feel like the longer this goes, and we haven't really heard a lot, right? I mean, I did a Google search on news for Jimmy Leonard, trying to find some rumors or reports, and it's been fairly quiet ever since, it was announced he was going to stay with the Badgers through the bowl game. It's been fairly quiet about any rumblings, any reports, any rumors. I mean, anybody could start a rumor now on social media and get it trending on Twitter. But legit ones out there, it's been pretty quiet. So for me, the longer this goes, I think it's 2 options. 1, is he eyeing going to the NFL as a defensive coordinator? Or 2, I might just take the year off. Unless something okay, I can't turn that thing down. Like an opportunity is like, I cannot turn that down. I don't feel like he's in a rush to go find his next gig. I think he knows his stock is pretty darn high, even with his alma mater bypassing him. I think he knows, and I think he's being told that your stock's pretty good. Your stock's pretty high. You can get a lot of jobs right now. Didn't get the job, obviously, that was your dream job, but you can get a lot of other pretty darn good jobs right now. So I think, obviously doing a smart thing, taking his time, maybe looking for the right situation. But the longer this goes and, him not getting, or at least attached to some potential head coaching jobs, I just kind of wonder, maybe he's thinking, all right, NFL. Because after, the 27th? Dude's free man. I mean, we're talking about next Tuesday, the bowl game. NFL season's still going on then. I feel like he is going to be courted. There are going to be requests for him from NFL teams for defensive coordinator openings. Got a feeling he's going to get a few of those. And you know what? If there's just nothing that really speaks to him or nothing really hits, I could see him maybe just kind of sitting out a year too. Just taking it all in and looking for the right opportunity. But it's been fairly quiet. I was just thinking about this yesterday. It's been fairly quiet. And I just kind of wonder, maybe he wants to try the NFL thing now. Maybe he wants to see if he can succeed in the NFL as a defensive coordinator. Now, I know, was it Schefter a couple weeks ago or something mentioned the possibility that teams might look at him as a head coaching candidate. And maybe that's kind of like the Cliff Kingsbury sort of thing. And the difference is that Kingsbury, was head coach for a little bit at Texas Tech. Then he was going to be the offensive coordinator at USC. And then he got hired as the Cardinals. So, that, then the Joe Brady, he was the offensive coordinator for Joe Burrow at LSU. Ended up being offensive coordinator for Carolina for a little bit. Didn't work out. But he was a hot, college assistant coach that thought, hey, people were talking about NFL head coach. He got interviews for a NFL head coach opportunity. But yeah, I just kind of wonder the longer this goes if that's going to be. I feel like he's going to go to the NFL. It's just a gut. I've got nothing to go based off that, but I feel like he's going to try it because I feel like though too, like you go to the NFL, You can always go back to college, right? You can always go back to if his heart is in the college game, but maybe if he wants to try out the NFL, I feel like he can always go back. Whether it's going to go back to college, be a head coach, or go back to college, be a defense coordinator, you can always go back. But the fact that he might have an opportunity to be a defensive coordinator for the NFL, maybe he's thinking now's my opportunity, now's my chance to see if I can do it. And maybe improve the stock even higher than what it is. I don't know. All right. Shot clock is going to cut me off here in a minute. So, again, tonight, Packers kickoff 7:15, Bucks tip-off 7 o'clock. Got both big games tonight. Tomorrow we'll recap both of them on a Grind My Gears Tuesday. So make sure you get your lists of what's grinding your gears and get that ready for tomorrow. Maybe it's going to be dependent on what happens with the Green Bay game. We'll do another pop quiz tomorrow. It is a Tuesday pop quiz. We'll get a bench start cut as well coming to you on tomorrow. We'll catch up with RJ Cardinal. Badger asked, maybe we'll ask him about that with Jimmy. But when we talk to RJ tomorrow, it'll be 1 week away from the bowl game. We'll get some updates on some recruits, Badger football. Got some more rumors, got some more reports. They got their quarterback. Their dual threat quarterback that was with Oklahoma that we talked about last week. He's going to Wisconsin. Nick Evers. That's a big time transfer there for the Badgers. So we'll talk to RJ about that. Could he actually be the starter next week? Or not next week, next year. Not next week, probably for the bowl game. Next year, this upcoming season. Maybe. Badgers fans pretty pumped about that. So we'll talk to RJ. What the talk is like down in Madison. What could be the future for him. All right. Enjoy the games tonight. Enjoy your day. Stay warm. We'll be back tomorrow, 6 a.m. Talk to you then.